verify if mag-live. Oh, it is. Okay, I see it.
Vote Pilipinas, tara kumilos at makialam. Vote Pilipinas, para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Para sa bayan, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, tara kumilos at makialam. Vote Pilipinas, para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Para sa bayan, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, tara bumoto ka. At makialam. Vote Pilipinas, para sa kinabukasan ng bawat isa. May pananagutan, alay natin para sa bayan. Ang boses mo'y gamitin, karapatan ang kinin. Heto na ang pagkakataon para makibahagi ang boto mo. Makapangyarihan, kaya magsama-sama para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Vote Pilipinas, kumilos na, tara bumoto ka. Vote Pilipinas, makialam, makibahagi. Para sa bayan, para sa bayan. Vote Pilipinas, tara bumoto ka.
Ito ang debating kukumpleto sa inyong desisyon. Sa panahon ng pandemya, kawalan ng trabaho, giyera. Ngayon, higit kailanman, napakahalagang suriin ang susunod na mamumuno sa ating bansa. Sino ang may totoong solusyon? Sino ang may konkretong plano? Sino ang tapat na maglilingkod? Kasama ninyo ang Commission on Election sa pagpantay at pagkilatis sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Dito ninyo malalaman Pilipinas Debates 2022, The Turning Point. Simulcast live nationwide and worldwide. March 19, Sabado, the Presidential Debate. March 20, Linggo, the Vice Presidential Debate. April 3, Linggo, ang ikalawang Presidential Debate. April 23, Sabado, the Vice Presidential Town Hall Debate. At April 24, Linggo, the Presidential Town Hall Debate. Kilalanin natin mabuti ang mga kandidato sa pagkapangulo at pangalawang pangulo dito sa pinakamalaki at opisyal na serye ng debate. Pilipinas Debates 2022, The Turning Point.
To our audience joining us via Zoom, Facebook Live, and YouTube, thank you so much for being with us today. I'm your host, Nikki Santos Ocampo, welcoming you to the first of Vote Pilipinas #Bumotoka webinar series, powered by Smart and Rakuten Viber. This series is part of an entire #Bumotoka campaign, together with other initiatives such as the presidential and vice presidential debates, as you just saw in that video, and candidate profile dashboard, which you'll see in our website. Facts have always been crucial in making informed decisions daily. With social media, though, lines are blurred. Opinions and emotions mix with concurring events, and most of us are left confused between disinformation and truth. Part of Vote Pilipinas' goal is to make information accessible to our voters and increase the public's engagement in the coming elections. Why? Because we believe that your vote matters. As May 9 comes close, it's important that we're well equipped to fight against disinformation and choose state officials that will uphold good governance. An effective government needs exceptional leaders that will use our country's resources to its maximum capacity, which is why we're inviting each and every one of you to join the call and say #Bumotoka para sa KAAYUSAN. But before we give you all the reasons why you should start exercising your right to vote, let's hear a few words from the Vote Pilipinas team. An entrepreneur, ecosystem builder, and solution architect with over a decade of international experience, Ces Rodario is the founder and CEO of Impact Hub Manila. Part of the largest network of impact-driven entrepreneurs in the world, IHM has evolved into the Philippines' premier social innovation company focused on supporting purpose-driven entrepreneurs to start and scale. In 2020, she founded Vote Pilipinas, a nonprofit, nonpartisan campaign aimed at mobilizing Filipinos to register and vote in the upcoming 2022 national elections. Vote Pilipinas is the official voter information campaign partner of the Commission on Elections. Please join me in welcoming Ces Rodario.
Hi everyone. Hi Nikki. Good afternoon to everybody who is here. I'm sorry, I'm supposed to have a nice background, but I am treating you to the Manila Bay. I am in front of the venue of the Pilipinas debates. We are here doing a massive technical run for all of your pleasure. And today I just really want to highlight. Hear me? Ayan, ang ganda ng yan, 'di ba? Nangiingit ako ng konti. Pero we are hard at work here at the Sofitel tent, where we're gonna be having the debates this weekend, which I hope you guys can stay tuned. And more than anything, guys, I just want to really take this time to mention that as we kick off this whole series of webinars and engagement with all of you, I hope that if there's one takeaway lang, guys, it's that let us be mindful and let us be let's demand to know facts, and let's demand to meet to get to know our leaders, right? The 10 presidential candidates that we've invited for the debates are going to be, one of them is going to be the next president of this country. The next day, then the roster of the 9 vice presidential candidates that we've invited, they may be second in command. And these people are up for a job, right? They're up to apply for your votes. And I hope that in the next coming events, whether it's the webinars, whether it's watching our debates, which is going to be live streamed and simulcasted all over all the platforms and all the broadcast media, I hope you all tune in because there is no better way to make use of your vote come May 9, diba? Our goal is to make sure that all of you we are all able to make informed decisions come May 9 because ang isa lang naman ang gusto natin as the webinar title suggests, we want kaayusan, diba? We want to be able to really, uphold all the things, the good things that this country has and is. So, salamat sa lahat, sa SMART, to our partners, to everybody who've committed to this series. I hope that you don't only take inspiration from all of the people that you're going to be meeting along this webinar series, but also really take it upon yourself to take notes, discuss, engage, share opinions. Please share our dashboard, all of the collaterals and all of the materials that we've been preparing for you since we started this whole endeavor of Vote Pilipinas. Our singular goal is to make sure that you have all the facts you need so that you can make an informed decision. And I hope that you journey with us. And I really thank all of you for watching, everybody who's watching online. I hope that we see you continuously throughout this whole series. So thank you so much. And we will see you here online for the debates. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of the day. Marami pong salamat.
Thank you so much, Ses. Sana all naman na, nasa Manila Bay tayo. And, speaking of inspirational people, you are absolutely one of them. Ses is, one of those super women that knows how to balance all of these things. Impact Hub Manila really not only incubates people and startups, but, it's also helping Comelec with this campaign. So props to you, Ses. Thank you, thank you. And next up, we have Mr. Ranz Calderon, the National Director for Membership and Governance of the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines, a community of volunteers advocating for the achievement of the Sustainable Development Goals. And he is also the project director for the organization's #Vote for SDGs campaign. Welcome, Ranz.
Hi, good afternoon, Nikki. Hello. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Magandang hapon sa ating lahat sa mga nanonood through Facebook and sa mga kasama namin dito sa Zoom. Hi, I'm Ranz Calderon and I was asked to talk about the Sustainable Development Goals and the 2022 national elections. And I'll be asking this question to you right now, to all our audience. Are we missing something out this coming elections? Are we missing something out? Ano ba yung nami-miss natin? Hindi naman ito tao, hindi man ito kung ano yung nami-miss natin. But that would be my hanging question to you. And yun din yung tinitle ko to my talk this afternoon. Are we missing something this elections? You can go to the slides na siguro. Yeah. Are we missing something this elections? Again, I'm Ranz Calderon. I'm the project director of the #Vote for SDGs campaign of the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines. And I want to talk about the 2022 national elections and leaving no one behind. And again, ask you every time, are we missing something out? Or are we just not including everything and or everyone? Next slide. May nami-miss out ba tayo or intentional ba na hindi natin i-include ang lahat o ang iba't ibang iba pang tao? On this cloud art, if you will see this cloud art, these are some of the few issues in the Philippines right now, no? Na pinag-uusapan tungkol sa election. Ano ba mga platforms, etc. COVID response. How will the next administration respond to the going back to normal, equality, traffic, right now fuel prices, agriculture, economy, the schools, the education, going back to face-to-face classes, traffic. These are a lot of things na pinag-uusapan tuwing election, every election. However, are we missing something out on these topics? Or are we just not including everything or everyone? Paulit-ulit yung tanong ko na yun kasi right now, we're not talking about sustainability. We're not talking about technically the sustainable development goals. So what are these? Hindi na pag-uusapan in the election setting or technically in the platforms ang SDGs. However, baka kasi nakakalimutan natin na or gusto nating blatantly na marinig ang SDGs but pinag-uusapan naman talaga siya. These issues are also in the Sustainable Development Goals or the 2030 Agenda. But there is a big however. Is everyone included in the discussion? Is everything included in the agenda? On the next slide, you will see the meaning of sustainable development according to the 1987 Brundtland Commission report. Development or sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. Yung sustainable development pala na pinag-uusapan natin ay ito yung mga kailangang development na mangyari ngayon pero hindi dapat ma-compromise kung ano yung mangyayari for the future generations. This definition was way back 1987, included in the Brundtland Commission report. And even right now, we are not talking about sustainable development. We are not talking about on fuel prices. We're talking about band-aid solutions. We're in traffic. We're talking about band-aid solutions. In the economy, on bouncing back on the economy, we're talking about band-aid solutions. We're so used to these band-aid solutions kasi gusto natin in this generation of instants, ayos yung instant gratification. These are all realities that we're experiencing right now. That instant gratification is what we know and what we're comfortable about. The next slide, we can talk about all day about the SDGs, these 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And I can recite, we can talk about the no poverty, zero hunger, affordable and clean energy, which is pinag-uusapan recently yung nuclear energy, pinag-uusapan yung pagbabalik ng eskwela, pinag-uusapan yung pagbabalik or return to office ng mga human resource natin in the outsourcing sector, pinag-uusapan ng climate change, pinag-uusapan yung fuel price hike, etc. We can talk all day about these SDGs, but I just want to simplify everything at gusto ko lang sabihin na we should be leaving no one behind. The SDGs itself has its quote, leaving no one behind. And basically, yun lang naman yung gusto natin. Na hindi maiwan yung mga nasa grassroots, hindi maiwan yung mga, habang pinag-uusapan natin lahat ito, habang pinag-uusapan natin yung pagbabalik natin sa eskwela, habang pinag-uusapan natin yung fuel price, yung traffic, sana pag-usapan din natin kung ano yung nangyayari sa mga IPs natin. Sana pinag-uusapan din natin kung ano yung plano natin on the PWDs, on senior citizens. Sana pinag-uusapan din natin yung habang pinag-uusapan natin yung response natin in the COVID-19 pandemic, we also talk about our frontliners. We talk about the healthcare workers, the barangay healthcare workers specifically. We talk about these people that is not being talked about kasi nakikita lang natin on a surface level lahat ng issue. Again, just like in the slides that you're seeing right now, we can talk all day about the sustainable development goals and discuss all these things. But now we need to simplify it but by leaving no one behind. What's the youth importance and ano yung role ng kabataan dito bilang I represent the youth sector right now in speaking in front of you. The next slide, I don't know kung alam nyo to. Show of hands kung sinong nakakaalam ng or familiar sa image na ito. Kahit sa mga nasa Facebook, baka alam nyo na or nasagutan nyo na yung word of the day ngayon. Yan, sinong nakakaalam ng or familiar sa saltong? Or kung hindi nyo ginagawa tong saltong, ito yung Filipino version ng Wordle. Baka mas familiar kayo sa Wordle. Yan. Show of hands sa chat na sa comment section, baka alam nyo tong saltong or Wordle. Alam nyo ba na araw-araw nagiging trending yung Wordle, tapos kung pang ilang Wordle na yung ngayon. Kunwari, etong saltong, 60-second word na to. So Wordle, for example, nasa 297 na sila. Nagta-trending siya every morning. Ganun ka-wild no nag-trend yung Wordle. Para sa mga hindi nakakaalam kung ano yung Wordle, ito yung laging you guess a 5-letter word. So pag yellow siya, tama yung letter mo pero mali yung lugar. Pag green, tama yung letter mo sa tamang lugar din. So 5-letter word lang siya. Each day, tas nagpapalit siya every midnight. So every day nagpapalit-palit siya. What's my point? The youth can trend this game every time. The youth can trend this game every time. And the same thing happened way back nung nag-trend yung hashtag Aldab ang tamang panahon. Sorry, biglang pop culture yung reference, no? Pero the point is, we can trend before, we can have the power to trend before, and we can also have the power to trend now. According to the COMELEC itself, on the next slide, 50+% of the voters are in the prime movers category or the youth. The youth vote composed of 56% this 2022. Kung pinag-uusapan natin yung Sustainable Development Goals, if the youth is involved in the Sustainable Development Goals, or not just, or kahit hindi per se specifically on sustainable development, kahit pag-uusapan lang natin lahat, na wala tayong miss out when we go into inclusivity. And unfortunately, meron kasi talaga tayong hindi natin maiiwasan yung bias natin bilang tao. Pero in a conscious effort that we engage inclusively, na pinag-uusapan natin lahat ng issue, lahat ng sektor, at lahat ng pwedeng pag-usapan tungkol sa election. Hindi na lang para makaboto yung 56%. The 56% itself can make an impact on just engaging the public. Even before, laging sinasabi na the youth vote can sit a president, can sit a vice president, can sit senators, which is true, which is really true kahit hanggang ngayon. The 56%, if iisa lang yung binotonan, makakapagpaupo naman talaga, wala namang makakatalo sa 56% because it's a majority. Pero baliktarin natin yung perspective siguro natin. The youth in the 2022 national elections, if this 56% engage in people, engage in educational discourse, pinag-uusapan yung mga issue na kailangan pag-usapan, those 56% can make an impact to the other 44%. Kung pinag-uusapan natin ang PWDs, ang IPs, kung pinag-uusapan natin lalo na kung ano yung mga kailangan natin para bumalik sa eskwela ng safe, those 56% are your numbers. Kung papainggan at nagsasalita yung 56% na ito sa lahat ng issue na ginagawa at nararanasan nila, those 56% can make an impact. Not just in these elections, but beyond the election itself. Not just during these campaigns, but putting on the table all the issues and all the topics that need to be discussed this coming elections. Pag nagsalita itong 56% na ito, hindi tayo makukulong sa mga standard statements lamang. Hindi tayo hindi tayo mababox bilang isang kabataan at bilang isang Pilipino sa isang issue lamang na pinag-uusapan. Kasi maraming pwedeng hinanaing, maraming pwedeng suhestyon ng mga kabataan. And luckily and fortunately enough, I'm privileged to lead the hashtag Vote for SDGs because this is one of the campaigns that we're doing right now in the elections and in partnership with a lot of other youth organizations. The next slide. The SDG Youth Agenda, we tackled or we consulted different youths. We started August of last year. We consulted different youths on different issues. Pinag-usapan yung mga socio-economic issues, health, education, innovation, industries, infrastructures, peace, environment, energy. And this SDG Youth Agenda outlines the concerns of the Filipino youth on social and environmental issues using the SDGs as its framework. Ito yung mga action na gusto sana natin at pinapangarap namin na marinig ng kada kandidato of the national elections and sana pati yung local elections and would take on in their campaigns and future policies. This SDG Youth Agenda can be, if you're listening right now and if you're in the chat with us with the Zoom, you can go to www.youthforcepage.org/SDG Youth Agenda. You can sign on to the agenda as an individual or as an organization. But more so, this SDG Youth Agenda is our agenda, not just for the candidates, but to the people or to the who will be selected leaders of the country, to the next president, to the next vice president, to the next senators, to the next mayors, governors. We call on them and check on this SDG Youth Agenda. Because this SDG Youth Agenda is the agenda of the youth. Ito yung maraming agenda or youth agenda na lumabas. The Plan International also came up with the women's agenda recently, 10-point agenda. And this is also 10 points that outlines our issues currently na kinakaharap natin, na gusto natin hindi lamang sa kampanya marinig, kundi sa mga future policies na isasabatas ng next admin. That's why, as you can see, the SDG Youth Agenda is on the 2022 elections and beyond. Because the SDGs are there and will not end and will not be monitored and evaluated by the end of June or by the end of 2022. We still have 8 years left in the 2030 agenda. And kailangan ng pag-usapan yung points natin. Kailangan isama sa mga usapin yung ginawa nating localized SDGs on the ambition natin 2040. Kailangan pag-usapan na rin yung Philippine Development Plan, kung anong plano ng mga next admin at sa mga kampanya ito. Alam natin na marami pang issue na kailangan pag-usapan. Pero on the issue on sustainable development, katulad nga nung sinabi kanina, sustainable development is the development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. And just to end this opportunity that Vote Pilipinas has given to us, the youth, there are just 2 calls that I want to reiterate and want to napaulit-ulit na ulitin. Una, let's vote for the SDGs. And just like the last slide will say, let's leave no one behind. Maraming salamat po.
Ayun, maraming salamat din, Mr. Ranz. Naramdam ko yung yung gigil, yung galit, it's true. Yung mga SDGs po, it's not just a framework by the UN, pero reflection po siya. It's a mirror of all of our current issues, as you can see, past and present and eventually future. So it's not just parang an idea. It's intersectional. It's all intersectional. As you can see, as you mentioned, all of the issues that we have, parang umaalon siya. Sa totoo lang, mas lalo na dito sa Pilipinas, And if we can see it here in Manila, what more in the other parts? So taking a point from what you said about local government, it is very, very important for the youth, especially to be actively engaged and also actively participate with their local government, because that cascades into national government eventually. Kahit na, most of the power, well, a lot of the power really is centralized in national government. Local government units play a very, very big part in moving issues forward. So yes, thank you so much again to everyone here for tuning into the Vote Pilipinas #Bumoto Ka para sa KAAYUSAN webinar. To our viewers, please don't forget to comment your questions and share the live stream with the #Bumoto Ka. I'll also take this opportunity to invite you to check out the candidate profile dashboard, where you can find comprehensive and updated information about the presidential and vice presidential debate candidates. Head on to votepilipinas.com to access their biography, track record, advocacies, and platform. The dashboard is designed to be user-friendly and data-driven, leveraging the accessibility and versatility of technology. Through this, the public will have full autonomy in deciding the best people that they should vote for. Okay. Hold on. I think we're supposed to flash the schedule of the webinars. There we go. So make sure to stay updated on the upcoming Vote Pilipinas #Bumoto Ka webinars in your area, as we work nonstop to provide you the information you need to make your decision this May 9 easier and well-informed. Just like and follow all of our socials. On Facebook, we are Vote Pilipinas, and on Instagram and Twitter @votepilipinas.com. I'll also just promote the YouTube page before we jump into our promotional video. So just subscribe to the official Vote Pilipinas YouTube channel and stay connected to be updated on the Vote Pilipinas campaign.
Metro Manila is still the world's worst city to drive in. That's according to the latest data from
All right. So yes, that was our series of webinars. We actually have, I think, around 7 or 8. And to answer your question, Uriel, seems that we're competing with other voters' websites. That's true. There is a lot of information going on right now, but I do believe that more information is better than less, And as an official partner of COMELEC, we're trying to get the most fact-based information on all of the presidential and vice presidential candidates, all verified information, and yeah, just to make sure that we don't just take anyone's opinion. Why is there a portion of the Vote Pilipinas website about senatorial candidates? Well, do you not want the information on the senatorial candidates? I do think it's also good to know senators and congresspeople as well, because eventually they will be campaigning for presidential and vice presidential positions. It's always good to keep a track record on all of the people that are players in the government, And Yeah, it's really me personally. I'm just gonna have a little cuento right now. Dealing with people and lobbying is actually quite a difficult thing to do, because a lot of people always have things on their minds. Decision makers, entire organizations, everyone has an agenda that they'd like to push. And it's very hard to keep someone's attention. So, like Ranz mentioned earlier, if we're trying to push, let's say, the SDGs particularly, it's really, really hard to talk to any one person about it for more than maybe 2 minutes, honestly, or 2 minutes is a lot nga. And I'd say maybe you have 10 seconds elevator pitch and then gone. That person is already thinking about something else. It is hectic trying to lobby, and it's hectic being in politics. So here naman, as citizens, what we need to do is that we need to make sure that we keep a conversation going. If another participant drops out of the conversation, we have the responsibility to keep going at it. This is where it's very important to make your presence known on social media. Kung meron kayong Twitter or Facebook, mag-ingay lang kayo. It's always good to have your opinions addressed. And the best thing about the internet is that it's actually recorded. So, yeah. Sorry po, Ma'am Maria, we'll address your questions later. I'd actually like to go introduce our next speaker. So, to discuss the various avenues in becoming critically engaged voters, our next speaker is a practicing lawyer and currently serves as the Director 3 of the Education and Information Department on the Commission of Elections. The EID is responsible for designing and implementing voter education campaigns. Prior to this post, she was the city election officer of COMELEC in various Metro Manila cities, including Pasig, Pasay, and Parañaque. That's very catchy. So please welcome Director Frances C.M. Aguindadao Arabe.
Hi.
Hi, po.
Good evening. Thank you, Nikki, for the introduction, for the kind introduction. I'm honored and pleased to be with the launching of Vote Pilipinas. Salamat, Vote Pilipinas, for having me today. And I will be presenting the topic on voter engagement and participation. Okay, so let's jump right into my discussion. So let's talk about voter engagement. Okay, so voter engagement. What is voter engagement? Actually, reaching out to the voters, and it's allowing the voters to be heard. So to simplify, it's like having them involved, or conscious of certain issues. So engaging the voter. It's like COMELEC engaging the voter. Vote Pilipinas engaging the voter. So ganyan, voter engagement. In COMELEC, we see voter engagement as the most effective way of increasing voter turnout, because through voter engagement, we are able to educate the voters about certain issues. And by way of voter engagement, we also feel that we are making sure that new and unlikely voters are actually going to cast their ballots on election day. So through voter engagement, by empowering the voter with the ability to be an informed voter, issues now gain significance in the eyes of the candidates or the politician. Okay, next slide. Okay, so does this come from, itong voter engagement na to? First, because we are in a democratic country. Under the Constitution, the Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them by way of elections. Okay, so remember that, all government authority emanates from the people. So ano pa, aside from the Constitution, it is also a right and opportunity to take part in public affairs. Meron din yan sa Constitution, sa Bill of Rights natin, but it is also part of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. It's a human right, okay, to take part in pub fairs. And then lastly, because why do we have to? Because elections have consequences. Kasi by way of elections, we are able to vote for our leaders, no? We vote for the leaders of our choice, and through these leaders, we get the government that we deserve. So kung sino ang binoto mo para sa national at para national for the national positions, yan ang leaders mo for the next 6 years. Dun sa local, yan ang leaders mo for the next 3 years, which will define what kind of government are we going to have in those period of time. Kaya, merong consequence, no, yung vote natin. Next slide. Next slide. Okay. So how do voters participate? So how can voters participate? Kanina we engage the voter. Voters naman will participate, no? Pabalik naman sa atin. So how can voters participate? Next slide. Okay. So number 1, pinaka-importante sa lahat is to vote. Last year, the COMELEC and Vote Pilipinas had a partnership on voter registration. So part of the partnership was a campaign for magparehistro ka para bumoto or register to vote. Okay? So it is not enough that we just register, but we must also vote. Okay? Marami kasing reasons yung pagpaparehistro. But ang gusto sana namin, you are registering because you want to vote. Okay? So, May 9, 2022, we hope that all our registered voters will go out and vote. Okay? So, another form of voter participation is to volunteer, to help, and to support. Okay? So, you can volunteer for your candidate. Okay, you can volunteer for civic oriented groups like PPCRB, NAMFREL, Lente. Yung mga bodies na yan are volunteer watchdogs yan eh. So you can also do that. And then you can help and you can support. Sinong tutulungan at susuportahan? It can be your candidate. Okay, it can be your organization, and you can also help and support the Commission on Elections. Okay, next slide. Okay, so part of voter engagement is also to ensure that there is no misinformation or disinformation, because disinformation and misinformation would inhibit certain voters from voting. So the COMELEC and Vote Pilipinas, as well as other organizations, are working towards preventing misinformation and disinformation. So we hope that voters can also do the same, no? And avoid fake news. Yeah, disinformation, fake news. Let's define disinformation first. Next slide. Okay. Disinformation refers to fake or misleading stories created and shared deliberately. Okay, so these are intentional fake information. Next slide. Okay. How about misinformation? Okay, misinformation pertains to fake or misleading stories. But in this case, the stories may not have deliberately created or shared with the intention to mislead. Mali lang talaga yung kanyang pagkakaintindi. Kaya misinformation siya. Okay? So that's how that's the difference between. misinformation. So why is this important to know? Next slide, please. Yan. What are the dangers of misinformation and disinformation? Well, it creates confusion and misunderstanding about important social and political issues. And then it would lead to individuals making informed decisions, misinformed decisions. And it leads to greater polarization within societies. Okay, so in this election, actually, the strongest, our biggest enemy is fake news, no, and misinformation, especially that we are heavily into social media. Kaya kailangan turuan din natin ang ating mga netizens na maging mapanuri sa mga nababasa nila at nakikita nila online. So, how do we know if it is misinformation or fake news? Okay? So, simple tips. First, check the source. Yan. Huwag naman i-share agad. Pag may nakita kayong news. You know, surprisingly, ito mga fake news, no? Napaka-catchy talaga ng kanilang headlines. Talagang, kahit ako, mapapatingin talaga ako eh. But of course, while we may read all this information, it is important to do certain precautions. Like number one, you should check the source. Is the source credible? Tingnan nyo yung link. Tingnan nyo yung site. Is it really an authority when it comes to the topic? Is it credible? May established na ba na credibility yan? And then, sabi ko nga, you read the whole article and the headlines are hindi naman pala yun yung balita, no? But they make it different from the content or they intentionally misquote or title it. And then check the author. Sino ba ang sumulat niyan? Okay? Naniniwala ka ba pag siya yung sumulat niyan? Okay? And then, ito pinaka-importante, check other sources. With the wealth of information in the internet, madami kayong makikitang sources, one click away. So, try to look into other articles that are related to the topic. May balita, namatay si so-and-so. Diba? Maraming ganon. And then, when you check, hindi naman pala. It's fake news. And then maintain a critical mindset. Let us not be gullible. Kailangan lagi tayong critical sa bagay-bagay. We should try to look further, to think deeper, and to research further. Check the facts. Check also whether it is a joke. Wala ka lang sense of humor. Yung meme na yun pala was meant to be a joke. Okay? And then, for photos, yan. Ito, marami talaga siya. Check if images are authentic. Ang gagaling na ngayon ng Photoshop natin. Lalo na ngayong election, no? Nakakatuwa. Ang dami talagang mga pictures na hindi mo alam if they are really true or not. Okay? Look siya. Kunyari, picture ni Direct James, our spokesperson. Ilagay. Tapos yung article niya, galing pala yon sa mga nakaraang election. You know, we have a lot like that, ha? Yung mga balita was actually an issue in the past. Tapos ipapublish ngayon na parang issue siya ngayon. No? Makikita mo, teka, luma naman yung picture ni Boss James doon. No? It is dated today. Diba? And if you check, ito pala yung issue way back. Elections or 2 elections ago. So you have to check. And then use a fact-checking site. Okay, I was told na may mga fact-checking sites na Terra files. At meron pang isa, nakalimutan ko lang. So use also fact-checking site. But my advice is that basta pag nakapagbasa kayo ng isang news, always try to look into other sources. Hindi sapat na isa lang. Okay? So that's a way of helping also the Commission on Elections, the entire electoral process, the system, the elections in the Philippines to make it more credible. Okay? Wag na natin i-share din. Kung sa tingin naman natin hindi rin nakakatulong at hindi rin naman totoo, let us not share it. So that's my brief presentation on participation, on participation and engagement. So if you want to write to us to talk about other topics, ito po yung aming mga sites. If you have questions, you can also communicate with us through our official social media accounts, which is flashed on the screen. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much to both Pilipinas for this opportunity.
Thank you so much also, Ma'am Frances. That was very informative. Actually, while you were speaking about how important it is for voter engagement, we were just talking about it earlier before your section, sorry, sector bigla, that it's very important for us to speak our opinions. And especially since social media is so accessible now, every person has an online and public record of their opinion. But at the same time, that also easily influences people's emotions, and a lot of facts can be parang mixed into the disinformation that you were talking about. And yeah, so that's why it's so important for everyone here. Now, if you want your particular candidate, you must absolutely vote to make that a record, to make it official. Hindi lang kayo mag-iingay sa internet or ganun-ganun. You really have to come and vote for who you believe in. So with everything that was discussed, I'm pretty sure our audience kanina pa has been asking a lot of questions. So I'd like to take a moment to invite both our speakers back to the floor. From the 2030 Youth Force in the Philippines, Mr. Ranz Calderon, and Commission on Elections Director Frances Aguinaldao Arabe. I will read out some of the questions in the chat here. I'll address the question from Ma'am Maria earlier. So I guess this is for Ma'am Frances. Do you conduct voter education campaigns for public senior high school students?
Oops. Okay. Yes, we do. You can write to us through our social media accounts, or you can email us at eid@comelec.gov.ph and send us an invitation and the topic as well as the tentative schedule of the event, so we can send a team or we can designate a speaker to attend your event.
Great, that's good to know. Thank you, po, Ma'am Frances. Okay, addressing the next question from Uriel. I have a request that I brought up to the Election and Barangay Affairs Department about the classification of party lists, whether national, regional, provincial, or local. Wow, Uriel, you do all your research, huh? I've been following up that request to them for weeks and they did not respond. Po. Could you follow that up on my back? Okay, Uriel. Ma'am Frances is very busy, but Ma'am Frances, would you like to respond to that and explain what are the parang behind the scenes that goes on?
I think this is a request for data, on the different party list classifications. Kasi meron tayong national, regional, and also meron tayong representative. But I think Uriel, you wrote to the wrong office. So just that you write to us first, the eid@comelec.gov.ph, and then we will forward it to the appropriate department.
Okay, thank you po. Let's see, do we have any other questions? Let's check Facebook. Okay, eto po. Actually, I did ask a question kanina. Sorry po, Ma'am Frances, talagang dire-diretso yung mga questions. Pero do you have recommended fact-checking sites?
We well, I was told now that Verifiles is a fact-checking group, and there's one more. Pag naalala ko siya, I will mention.
Ay. Ala. Okay, I think, Ma'am ayun. Hello po, Ma'am Frances. I think kayo,
Oh, I apologize for the unstable internet connection here in Intramuros. Yes, we are we have Verifiles. Okay, so post on, and there's one more fact-checking organization. Pero so far, yan pa lang ang aking natatanong ngayon.
Okay. Thank you po. All right. For Mr. Ranz Calderon naman, great job on the SDG Youth Agenda. What can be done to ensure that candidates care about sustainable development and put out initiatives to achieve it?
Well, we need to check them out regularly. Kailangan one thing that we did in the 2030 Youth Force way back together with Impact Hub Manila on 2019 was to lobby the House resolution on SDGs na lahat ng bills in the current Congress ay kailangan merong SDG provision. So that's one thing that we would want to constantly do and constantly check as a citizen para the SDGs will always be there in the policies and in the talks within the institutionalization and policy making. So, yeah.
Okay. Sige, how about this? You personally, what do you think is the most important SDG that we can tackle first para trickle-down effect siya?
That's tricky kasi parang the SDGs are a framework when it's all encompassing. So, but technically speaking, if you study it, you go by the number one, which is no poverty. So, kasi at some point, pag tinignan mo sila lahat, pag na-achieve mo yung na-eradicate mo yung poverty, kaaroon ka ng quality education kasi makakapag-aral sila lahat, kaaroon ng clean and affordable energy because, well, hindi ka na mahirap kasi so ma-afford mo na yung maayos na energy and all. So, no poverty is one thing that mahirap i-achieve, pero if ma-achieve natin, that's a great goal for the Philippines. Yeah.
Oo nga, no, tama. In fairness, how many years, centuries have we been battling poverty, no? But I do believe that currently we're getting there, no? In your opinion, do you think na, especially with the youth ngayon, you said we are the majority. We are actively combating poverty. Do you see a change in that?
Realistically, we're going there, but we're not on track on the targets and on the goals. We need everyone involved. Just like what I said earlier, kailangan involved tayong lahat. Hindi lang civil service organizations, dapat kasama din yung mga government agencies that we partner with, private sector. In fact, kailangan at some point iisa yung stand and we champion sustainable development as a whole.
Tama po yun. Okay, I guess I'll address this question to both our speakers. Yeah, Sir Ranz, you can go first. In what ways can different groups and individuals mobilize in order to further encourage more registered voters to engage in the upcoming elections?
My favorite answer ako dyan. You engage first within your family. So, because at some point, kailangan hindi na natin ma-realize that politics, social issues, and all of these stuffs are adult yung quote-unquote adult topics. Dapat hindi na siya taboo in the dinner time, hindi na siya taboo on sa pag-uusap within casual friends within your circle. Start within your inner circle, your friends, your siblings, your family, in the news, pag mag-banter kayo habang nanonood ng news, oh, ganito pala siya, etc. So yeah, you start within where you are right now.
That's true. That's true. Kahit ako, pag tatay ko, woo, it's gonna get so heated. Just pang telenovela na away. My gosh. Pero totoo yun. Like, it's really funny when, when you start with your family, it's really, it does that. Ayun, nandito na ulit si Ma'am Frances. Hindi ko alam kung net ko lang or if she's still frozen.
Being disconnect voluntarily.
Oh, okay po. Okay, let's see. Would you like me to repeat the question po or?
Yes, yes. For a while. Ano yung tanong, Nikki?
How can we mobilize different groups and individuals po, in your opinion? So Sir Ranz said, talk to your family first. Ako lang ba na naka-freeze po si Ma'am?
Yeah, sorry. It's like
Opo, medyo laggy po siya.
yes. Can I have the question, Miss Nikki?
How would you mobilize po different groups and individuals to engage more in elections in your experience, personal experience?
Well, you can begin with your neighborhood, di ba? Or your organizations. So, umpisahan natin doon sa small groups ninyo. And I also encourage that you also join established organizations if you want to volunteer. It's just a matter of choosing kung kanino kayo sasama. But yes, you can mobilize your own group as well.
Okay. Thank you po, Ma'am Frances. So, kung meron dito na gustong mag-apply dun sa Intramuros, go lang, We always need more help in all of the offices kasi for me also kasi po, I do have experience in lobbying. I always know that in the offices, there's always backlog. There's always, parang ang daming gagawin. And parang kulang yung oras kulang yung panahon talaga. So, actively engage in all of your local offices, local government units, makialam as the article goes, diba? So let's see if we have any other questions. Eto. Are there any new protocols on election day po?
Well, there are, no? In the light of the pandemic, we have established health protocols at the voting center. It's really nothing, nothing unusual. It's the protocol which is set by the IATF for establishments and for buildings as well. So we have added as part of the voting process disinfection. So you have alcohol there, we have temperature checking, and we will also observe proper social distancing inside the polling center. So my 1 meter distance now, that is why we also reduce the number of voters for every precinct because due to the observance of the social distancing rule, accommodate ng ganun rami. So, nadagdagan po ang ating mga presinto para maging mas maluwag siya para sa mga boboto. So, same with our electoral boards, serving their own health protocols, like the voters. So, it's really safe to go to the polls on May 9, 2022 and to vote.
Okay, thank you po. Yeah, sana bakuna po lahat. And even though we are coming into alert 1 and possibly even exiting the pandemic this year, sana we will all still stay safe, still continue to wear masks, continue practicing washing your hands regularly, may alcohol bottle pa, ganun. So it's always better to be safe these days. Okay, I'll ask another question again from Uriel to Sir Ranz. Can I ask him about his stance on constitutional reform? I've seen many posts from the correct movement pushing and advancing their advocacy for reforming our economic and political system, especially federalism, parliamentalism, and economic liberty. Oh, that's very interesting. Sige, Sir Ranz, what do you think?
Okay, I will not say I'm an expert on this, pero I'll leave this to those in the policy making arena. Kasi mahirap na I'll say my take on this, but this would be such a personal take lang. But we need to study more. We need to read more. But in order for us on constitutional reform, again, we stick to the idea of leaving no one behind. Kailangan pag kasi minsan on this masyadong politicized siya na may personal agenda yung mga tao. So we need to study it more on what to do, why do we want to do it? Is there really a need to do it? Or what's the best thing for the country and for the people of the Philippines? Kasi I will not say that I am an expert on this, but as a citizen of the country, mas mahalaga sa akin na kasama tayong lahat. Hindi tayo bibiglain na may ibang nangyayari on the constitutional reform pala na hindi natin alam. So let's include everyone on the discussion and let's not leave everyone when we take into account all of these things.
Thank you po, Sir Ranz. Yes, that's very true. Pushing for an economic or total systemic reform is very heavy, very, very heavy. And I don't think it can be accomplished in any one term, honestly, on a presidential level, because there are so many parties involved. As we all know, the Philippines is a multi-regional, multi-tribal even country. And we keep forgetting that sometimes there are even political, like self-autonomous political groups that don't adhere to the system, So federalism is an interesting topic, which I will not super dive into, but I am slightly familiar with it rather na. On one hand, it might be able to give more power to the local units, which could be good because cascading everything to national always takes a lot of time. There's a lot of bureaucracy talaga. But on the other hand, if you reconcentrate those powers to certain groups, we'll never know how that can push one way or another. That's one opinion I should say I have on federalism. But that's a very interesting question. Let's see if we have any other questions for today. Parang wala naman. Okay, yeah, it's a very, very, very engaging session that we had today. And I just like to take this time to thank all of our audience and most especially our speakers. Personally, I've learned so much. It was such a great back and forth between everyone today. And I'd like to remind everyone that we still have 54 days before the May 9 elections, which means 54 more days to gather the right information and to assess the candidates running for office. So Vote Pilipinas is here to give you the factual information that you can learn for the upcoming 2022 national elections. First off, head on to votepilipinas.com and check out the candidate profile dashboard for all the information you need about each candidate. Our research team is working day and night to collect all of the factual information, double checking all of the things para alam natin hindi siya fake news. And we're not stopping there. Make sure to stay tuned to the upcoming webinars for the next few weeks with our next two webinars, which is the Kabuhayan webinar and the Kalusugan webinar. So each webinar has a theme and we will be covering specific topics under these. Hashtag bumoto ka para sa kabuhayan and bumoto ka para, Kalusugan webinars will be on March 18, 2022 at 4 to 5 p.m. and Kalusugan at 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Most importantly, catch the Pilipinas Debate 2022, The Turning Point, this weekend, March 19 to 20, and on April 3, 23, and 24. So for all of our updates on all of these different programs, please make sure to follow us on our social media pages. On Facebook, just search up Verified Vote Pilipinas page, and on Instagram and Twitter at votepilipinas.com. Make sure to also follow the social media pages of our speakers, the SDG Youth, and for COMELEC. Just stay updated in your right sources. As Election Day draws closer and closer, we as Filipinos have the responsibility to create changes in our society today. Sa daan ng kaayusan, maaari tayo na gumawa ng mabuti para sa ating bansang Pilipinas. Hashtag bumoto ka para sa kaayusan ngayong 2022 national elections. Hashtag bumoto ka this May 9, 2022. Again, I'm your host, Nikki Santos Ocampo, and from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much to everyone for joining us tonight.
Ito ang debating kukumpleto sa inyong desisyon. Sa panahon ng pandemya, kawalan ng trabaho, giyera. Ngayon, higit kailanman, napakahalagang suriin ang susunod na mamumuno sa ating bansa. Sino ang may totoong solusyon? Sino ang may konkretong plano? Sino ang tapat na maglilingkod? Kasama ninyo ang Commission on Election sa pagpantay at pagkilatis sa mga susunod na leader ng ating bansa. Dito ninyo malalaman Pilipinas Debates 2022, The Turning Point. Simulcast live nationwide and worldwide. March 19, Sabado, the Presidential Debate. March 20, Linggo, the Vice Presidential Debate. April 3, Linggo, ang ikalawang Presidential Debate. April 23, Sabado, the Vice Presidential Town Hall Debate. At April 24, Linggo, the Presidential Town Hall Debate. Kilalanin natin mabuti ang mga kandidato sa pagkapangulo at pangalawang pangulo dito sa pinakamalaki at opisyal na serye ng debate. Pilipinas Debates 2022, The Turning Point.